to level 2. Yes. Okay, so you if you get these many points, then this level would have been unlocked automatically, right? Okay, so I can see there are some students who have unlocked the level 3 even. Okay, so we will start with basic 3 and basic 4. Okay, we'll be doing these two levels in this webinar series. Okay. So to start with basic 2, we will solve levels from level 1. Okay. So here you have to note down that we are going to introduce something called variables. Yes, till now we were doing for loop. Yes. Okay, so here we are going to do variables. Okay, so what is a variable? Variable is a container that can store any information in it, right? So with the help of variables, we have to make them to complete the mission. Okay, so for doing that, we have to calculate the number of steps and save it in the variable. Okay, the variable name can be anything. Here I have used D. Okay, so how will you find out the number of steps? Okay, so the number of steps can be found by calculating the distance with the help of the coordinates. Okay, so when you place the pointer, you can find out the coordinate of the item, the x and y coordinate. X is 6 here and y is 0. And here x is 0, y is also 0. Okay, so before telling that, how you can find out whether the difference is in x-axis or y-axis. Okay, if it is in this direction, okay, you can see that it is mentioned as x-axis. Okay, so you have to use item.x, dev.x. Okay, if it is in this direction, the difference is in this direction, then you have to use item.y and dev.y. Okay, so how you can find the difference? You just have to subtract two coordinates. Okay, and please remember the value of the variable has to be a positive number, not a negative number. Okay, accordingly you should give the order of item and dev. Okay, so item is x6 and dev is x0, which means dev's x is less than item's x. So you have to create a variable and uh, take the difference where the items of x minus dev.x. Okay, item x should come first. So 6 minus 0, the number is positive number, that is should always be greater than 0. Okay, so after putting this, you as usual you should give the command dev.step. Okay, and inside the bracket, rather than giving the number, you have to specify the variable inside it. Okay, D. Let's run the program. Okay. So next level. So you would have been questioned that why suddenly we need this variable. Okay, so there are certain levels in the hackathon there this grid option is not enabled. Okay, so in that cases we will obviously need this variable to calculate the distance between dev and item so that dev can move and get the item, right? Okay, so here when you place the pointer, you find out the item x is 11, y is 15, and dev's x is 16, y is 15. Okay, so now let's calculate the distance by using the variable. Let's declare a variable d equal to, and as I said, you need to get a positive number. So dev's x is greater. So put dev's dot x minus item dot x. Okay, that means dev x value is 16 and item x value is 11. Okay, so 16 minus 11 is 5. Spaceship has to move 5 steps. Okay, spaceship dot step d is 5. Okay, let's run. Okay, this is another level where the difference is in y-axis. Okay, on seeing the grid itself, you can find out whether the distance is in x-axis or y-axis, right? So you always keep this as the reference and find it out. Okay, now we have to find out whether items Y and Dev's Y, which is greater. Okay, you can see that item Y is 8 and Dev Y is 0. So obviously item has to come first. Okay, D is equal to item dot Y minus Dev dot Y. Okay, so when you get this difference, you have to pass it in the Dev dot step. Okay, the step command, and inside the bracket pass the variable. Once you do this, it works, right? If you have any questions, you can ask me in the chat. Okay? So yes, this is another level where we are going to use variables only, but here we are going to use for loop in combination with the variables. Okay, so as you can see, first turn on the grid always. If the grid option is available, I recommend you to turn on the grid first and observe the pattern of the uh, grids or the map that is shown, and then plan for the codings and then code. Okay, so that will make the work easier. Okay, so here in this grid you can see that spaceship is being placed two steps away for each solid grids. Okay, and inside each solid grid you can observe that the items are dispersed in a unequal manner, right? It is not in an equal manner, so you cannot use same command. Okay, yes, you will be using level 2. Maximum questions will be from level 2. Okay, so for I in the range of 4, spaceship should step to. Yes, you can have okay, some students are texting me that you did this level in another way. Okay, you can always opt your own way, because programs differ from programmers. Okay, so unless and until you get 3 stars, it is fine. Okay, you can opt any way of coding. For I in the range of 4, okay, since we have 4 items to collect and the 4 times it is repeating, spaceship has to step 2 steps every time. Okay, and then let's calculate the distance. D is equal to, you can observe items items x-axis is higher than Dave's x-axis, because Dave is placed in x1, but items are placed in x2, 3, and 6 and 5, right? So we are going to give item of I dot x, because item 0, 1, 2, 3, you can see that it is in a order. Okay, so item of I uh, dot x minus Dave dot x. Okay, after calculating this, let's put it in the step command. Dev dot step D, Dev dot step minus D. Okay, so Anika, you have asked for level 9. Yes, we will continue the levels in an order. Okay, obviously we'll go for level 9. Please wait. Okay, so let me run. I'll increase the speed to 2. Okay, yes, let's continue. So here in this level, we are going to use the same for loop in combination with the D. Okay, but then you can observe the grids are placed in both sides of Dev, right? That means the solid grids are placed in both sides of Dev. Okay, in such cases, how you can calculate it? First, you should observe whenever there is a spaceship, you should observe how Dev is placed. Okay, which direction Dev is facing. You can see Dev is facing this direction, not this direction. Okay, so accordingly, you should select the item dot. You should find the difference of steps. Okay, so now Dev's position is x5, y10, and x5, y6. There is a difference in y-axis, and items y-axis is less than Dev's y-axis, but Dev is facing the opposite direction. That means Dev has to take -4 steps to collect the first item, right? So we are going to put item of I dot y minus Dev dot y. If you put like this, then you get an answer as -4. Okay, so when you apply it to Dev step D, so directly Dev will step -4. Okay, so if you apply the same formula to the forward steps, forward items, okay, item of I dot y. Okay, so item 1 is 13 y axis and they will be in 10. Okay, so Dev has to take 3 steps. So obviously 13 minus 10 will give you 3. Okay, so they will walk forward 3 steps and then backward 3 steps. Okay, so not only that, spaceship also has to take 3 steps. Okay, you should not forget that in the codings. Okay, so while doing this, many students will miss this. Okay, so only I'm mentioning it. Finally give spaceship dot step 3. Okay, so let me run the codes. Okay, continue. So here, this is another level. Okay, we are going to learn something new now. First, always as I say, you should turn on the grid, observe the pattern first. Okay, so when you try to observe here, spaceship is placed 3 steps. Okay, 3 steps from the items, and after every second 3 step, there is an item placed inside. Okay, but this pattern isn't repeating the third time, right? The third time when you see there is no item present here, but the item is present here. Okay, this means you cannot use a for loop for achieving uh, this level, right? This task. So we are going to learn something new. It is called if conditional statement. Okay, what is if conditional statement is, you have to type if, you have to give a condition. Okay, so when the condition is true, do this. When the condition is false, neglect the thing that is given inside and continue with the program again. Okay, so that is the usage of if conditional statements. Okay, so here first, let's observe this. As I said, spaceship has to move three steps every time. Okay, so you can observe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we can use a for loop that ranges to 5. There are 5 items and they has to move 5 times, and spaceship also has to move 5 times. Okay, so for I in the range of 5, spaceship dot step 3. Okay, so again, next line, you have to type, give the condition. Okay, so if items y-axis is less than spaceship's y-axis, you can see spaceship's y-axis is 12. Okay, and here this item axis is also 12, but this item's y-axis is 7. Okay, when this item's y-axis is less than spaceship's y-axis, then make Dev to walk 5 steps forward and come back 5 steps and get back on the spaceship. Okay, so this is the coding that we are going to opt. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chat. Okay, so again, spaceship will walk 3 steps and find out whether item's y-axis is less than spaceship y-axis, but it is not. So the condition is false. So they will not go inside. Okay, so it will not go inside and then increment the I to 4. Okay, once it is incrementing I to 4, okay, come here and check items y-axis is less than spaceship y-axis. Okay, yes, the condition is true. So they will walk inside, get the item and get back. Again, spaceship will move 3 steps and again it will check for the condition. Since the condition is true, they will move, walk inside and come back. Okay, hope this is clear. Let me run. Okay, since there's, I'll just reduce this. Okay, see, finally, since this condition is true, it will go inside. If the condition is false, it will not go inside. It will just continue with the outer for loop. Okay. Yeah, this is another similar level. Okay, so where we are using spaceship and if conditional statement. Okay, so spaceship has to move again 3 steps for every loop. Okay, for I in the range 4. Spaceship step 3. Okay, and if their's y-axis is less than item's y-axis now, because item is placed in a higher y-axis, that is in 13, and their's y-axis is 9. Okay, so item is placed sorry, Dev's y-axis is less than item's y-axis, then Dev has to walk 4 steps, because here also it is 4 steps, here also it is 4 steps. Sometimes in hackathon you will get the levels like this item will be placed in 3 steps and this item will be placed in 5 steps. In that cases you have to add a new thing. It is called the variables that we saw before. Okay, so introduce a variable d is equal to item of I dot y minus dev dot y. Okay, and then put the steps dev dot step d. Okay, hope I am clear with this statement. Okay, sometimes you get these kinds of levels in the hackathon, so in that cases you can combine variables also inside the if conditional statements. Okay, so now we have to make their walk 4 steps before and 4 steps backwards to get on the spaceship. Continue the mission. Okay, here the condition is false, so they will not walk inside. And again here also the condition is false, so they will not walk inside. It will just continue. Spaceship step 3. Finally, the condition is true again, so they has to move 4 steps. Okay. Okay, so when the condition is false, it is directly continuing the for loop. Okay, so in this level we are going to see flyers. Okay, so how flyers should move. Okay, so as you can see, flyers are placed in a disproportionate manner. Okay, it is not in a order, that means it is not in equal spacing, right? So for I in the range of, how many flyers are there? There are 6. So for I in the range of 6, d is equal to, okay, so dev dot y minus flyer of I dot y. Okay, so what is the answer? Flyer is placed in y-axis y9 and dev is placed in y11. Okay, so in this line y-axis is the same, right? So all throughout this line y-axis and x-axis will be y-axis will be the same and x will be different, right? So you have to put d is equal to dev dot y minus flyer of I dot y. Okay, so now put flyer of I dot step d. Okay, so dev dot step, finally count this number of steps and put 18. Okay, so let's run. And always make sure you are counting the number of steps of Dev and putting it outside the for loop. Okay, sometimes if you put this inside the for loop, then the program will not work. Okay, so many of you would have known by this time. Okay, so let us continue with the next level, level 9. Okay, so in this level, you can see flyers are placed in both sides of the grids, right? So you have to find out the difference, but x you cannot calculate it with the help of Dave's x and y axis, because it you can see that the grid is not in an equal manner. Okay, in the previous game, grid was in a straight line, so Dave's y axis was the same every time, but here it is not the same. So we use a flyer, we should use items y axis for calculating the difference between the flyer and the empty space. Okay, so that we can move the flyer in the empty space and then we can make Dave walk on it. Okay, so how many flyers are there? You can count. There are 5 flyers. Okay, and you can see that the flyer is placed both sides. Okay, so I already said you should have a positive number as the d variable, right? The distance should be in a positive number, then only you can make the flyer move in a straight direction. Okay, if at all it is for Dev or spaceship, okay, at that point if you get a negative number, then it will respond to that command, but flyers will not respond to a minus command. Okay, so since the character of flyer is always to move forward, okay, whatever is the direction on top of it, flyer will move only in that direction, right? So if you put -6 to it, then flyer will not respond to it. Okay, for that we are going to use a new condition. If d is less than 0, okay, if I'm getting minus number for my steps, then I should make d equal to -d. Okay, if I put like this, then if I get 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? So initially for my formula, d is equal to item of I dot x minus flyer of I dot x. So item of I x is 12, flyer x is 6. Okay, so 12 minus 6, it is 6. So if it is not less than 0, so it will not consider this condition itself, it will just continue with this statement. Okay, flyer of I dot step d, obviously it will move. Okay, but in this case, x is 13 and x is 8 here. Okay, so 13 minus 8, 13 and 8, you will get 1 2 3 4 5, right? It is also a positive number. Here when you see 4 and 10, okay, so item 10 minus 4. Okay, and here also, if at all you are just giving, if at all d is less than 0, at that cases put d is equal to -d. Okay, if d is not less than 0, then continue with flyer dot step d. Okay, after fixing this, you have to give the condition for Dev to move and collect the items. Okay, for I in the range of 5, Dev step 3, Dev turn right, step 2, turn left, again step 3. This pattern continues 5 times. Right? If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the chat. Okay, so the condition is, since this condition is true, okay, sorry, false, it is not opting it. Okay, you have to do it like this. Okay, so one more thing, if you saw that this condition was not true at all in the whole game, right? Why do we give this? Okay, if you are not giving this, then also it will work, but in certain cases, okay, see, the number of steps taken by the flyer should be greater than 0. Okay, so it will throw this error. That is why we are giving this condition. Okay, automatically it will change the minus steps to plus steps. Okay, I hope this is clear. just increase this. Okay. Fine. One last level. Okay, so always turn on the grid. Okay, so how many flyers are there? You can see there are 8 flyers. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so for I in range 8, d is equal to, again it is item of I dot x minus flyer of I dot x. Okay, so always when I'm using this flyer, I can give the condition if d is less than 0, put d is equal to minus d. Okay, so make it as positive step. Okay, and then I'm going to move the flyers. Flyer of I dot step B. Okay, now all the flyers will be in place. Okay, again now we have to make there to move and collect the item. Okay, so for I in range of 5, because this pattern is repeating 5 times, you can see, and sometimes people will not calculate this properly. You can you might keep you might give 6 steps, like for I in range 6. If you do like that, then you will obviously achieve the task, but your number of steps will be increased. Okay, so make sure you are giving the exact range. Okay, then only your codings will give you lesser number of steps. Okay, so for I in range 5, Dave dot step 3, Dave turn right, Dave step 2, Dave turn left. Okay, so this is being repeated 5 times. Okay, so I'm going to change and show you. If I'm giving for I in range 6, this will obviously affect the number of stars that you score. Okay, so you can see that I take 80 steps. Okay, because when you give a for loop, it will obviously count all the steps that is added here. Okay, so you have to put the correct number of repetition in the for loop. Okay. Yeah, Yadarsha, you can, yes, you can do it like that also. Better coding, yes, obviously, congratulations, and keep practicing the same way. If you have any doubts, you can post me in the chat. Okay, so now you get 3 stars. Okay, so I request everyone. Yes. Okay, yes, thank you, Abhidya. Okay, Anika, you are getting the for statement error. There will be some uh, indentation error. Okay, please check with this code. Okay, I request everyone to turn on the camera so I can take a screenshot. Thank you for attending my webinar. We'll continue this further levels in the next webinars. Okay, so thank you.